What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Z Cobb here, and welcome to episode 3 of Zach's Art-Ful podcast. I'm, of course, your host, Zach, and we have a great show for you guys, so kick back, relax, and enjoy this episode.
I wake up every night thinking of us, hoping we might be
Yo, welcome to episode 3, everybody. It's once again me, soloing today, but, that's all good, just going with the flow. That's what the show's all about. So I hope you guys are ready for another fun round of stories, because today we will be sharing the wonderful stories about summertime. As we draw to a close in August, I figured I would share some of my favorite summertime related stories. So, without further ado, let us begin. Our first story comes to us from the magical timeline of when I first learned how to swim. I learned how to swim before, but this is my first official swimming lessons at a recreation center. It was for a summer program, and I loved swimming in the pool. It was so much fun. We would normally do the classic stuff, like the side strokes, the big lunges and stuff like that. But one particular day, as our final test of might, we had to go on to this giant water slide. It was huge. I was super little at the time, Naturally, I was very not for that, but a part of me did want to do it. But my fear is constantly telling me, no, it's not for you. Just stick in the whirlpool area. Just let that happen. And I think both my mom and the lifeguards kind of knew that. So one day, our teacher after class told me that she wanted me to go on the water slide. And I said, yeah, no, I'm good. I'll just go in the whirlpool. But this is the tricky part right here. She said, oh, don't worry. I'll be right behind you. So, okay, well, at least I won't have to suffer through it alone. So we walked up to the top of the stairs, sat down, and right before I could see if she was right behind me, she pushed me down the slide. And I was screaming, I was so scared. Just everything was just flashing before my little kid eyes. It was scary. I made it at the bottom. All I just hear was, whoa! Just clapping at the top. And I was still kind of what happened? It's yeah, I told you could do it. You did it. I'm you scared, you lied to me. You promised me you would be right behind me. He said, yeah, I lied. So I I still held a grudge against that since then. But I still kind of acknowledge that, yeah, it was not as scary as I thought it would be. But, it is what it is. Don't let fear hold you back. That is the moral of this this water slide story. But it's only the beginning of the summer antics, ladies and gentlemen. We have another spicy story coming up right now. Story number 2 comes from the same place, but a few years later. I was part of this, another summer program. This one a little less exciting. It was kind of just hang out with other people kind of thing. This was kind of our fun free day. So anyway, we were at the pool area. I was in my, the whirlpool area, just hanging out to myself, and at that time, there was a girl there that I like. I don't even remember her name. So before you even ask in the comments, I have no idea what her name was or what she looked like. But I liked that. There was a girl I liked at that time. It was pretty obvious to everybody that I liked this girl. But I was just minding my own business, and in the whirlpool, I look over. There was a group of them hanging outside the area, and I was like, "What's going on?" And then two, it was the girl that I liked. She popped out the water, but she was kissing somebody. It was a guy, and they turned around and saw me looking, and my face was filled with such despair and heartbreak. I just sunk back into that whirlpool, just nothing, just utterly heartbroken, just not even caring. And then they felt bad, so they tried to swim over to me. It's like, oh no, it wasn't like that. They don't like each other like that. They like, no, they were trying to like, I know they were trying to make me feel better, but they were still laughing. I can absolutely tell, but like, y'all, it hurt. Young love is very, very tough. There are other fishes out there in the sea, but yeah, man, that hurt. That summer heartbreak, especially, man. That summer heartbreak is the toughest one of all.
The time was good, but it's all over now.
The next story comes from the time I went to an all-boys summer camp. So we were out in the middle of the woods somewhere in around Minnesota, like Wisconsin area, and it was a very pretty campground area. The girl group were just leaving once we arrived there. I had my friend with me, but unfortunately he went off to a different group, so I had to hang out with people that were like way older than me at that time. Needless to say, it was a very interesting experience. There were a couple cool people in that group, I remember fondly. I remember more fondly than other people. I will say that. We'll save that part for later on. Anyway, we were settling in. We were all hanging out in our groups, doing our group activities, yada yada yada. A few days later, towards the end of the camp, we were holding this talent show competition, and I originally wasn't planning on like performing anything at that time. I just kind of wanted to keep to myself, but I was hearing about how hype it was going to be, all these like big performances. It's like this one kid was going to do Drake. Some of the camp counselors there were going to be singing. It's like, well, maybe I can do a little something. So I decided to, just kind of do my thing, and like, we'll see where it goes. So later on nighttime, talent show comes. One kid did Drake, accidentally cursed in front of the entire group, and everyone, of course, reacted in an over-the-top fashion, which was amazing. So it was my turn. Of course, naturally, I was freaking out. My friends that I made at the group were hyping me up when I walked onto the stage. They were all hyped. I got in this, like, I don't know why I did this, but I got into this like rapper pose, like over dramatic rapper pose, mic in my like lower hand. Like, yeah, all right. I was just kind of like motivating myself in my head. It's like, okay, just rock with it. So I started doing these impressions, right? I hit him with the turtle from Finding Nemo, Good Burger, Stewie Griffin, Mario, all that stuff. Everyone lost it, just over the top. Just like one dude just like fell out of his chair because he was so in shock. It was great. I got a standing ovation for everyone, and I won first place at the competition, and I ended up switching bunkers out of that room with the cooler bunk beds, and I never regretted that decision since then, because I got my camp group respect out of that from most people. You know, I consider that a win. But naturally, you know, with every main plot, there comes a side story to that said plot. We're about to get into it now. So for this side story, we have to go back to that said mention that I got along with more people than others. Some in my camp group were let's call them the party people. We'll call it that. So the party people, they were rowdy, you know, they were cracking jokes, they're always trying to get into trouble, you know, making it difficult for everybody because they want everything to go their way, because it's their way or the highway. So I one day we were sleeping and they had gone through my luggage and like messing around with my flashlight, and I was telling them, hey, knock it off. You know, naturally they respond with mockery, you know, like typical stuff. And then they resort to name calling. But like back then I had a real jump to conclusions kind of mindset. So I threw hands. I was ready to throw hands. I laid a choke down on him. He ended up flipping over and punching me repeatedly in the face. I hit his hand, and I ended up breaking his pinky later on. So he had to get sent to the hospital. So that was fun. So it was all night of camp. Our group watcher waking up in the middle of the night to hear rustling and people having to break up the fight, and me with a bloody nose. And naturally we had to talk about it the next morning at our group like ceremony thing at like 6 a.m. in the morning, which is the worst thing any human should ever have to go through. So our like main group leader talked about it. They brought us up to like the group thing, made us shake it out, which I said I forgive you, but I don't. I did not forgive him. I was still very upset at him. I can tell he was upset. He had to get that cast, and every time I looked at it, I consider that a victory. Gosh, I sound so evil. I don't mean to. I don't mean for this to be like an evil villain origin story or anything, you know. But just don't. Obviously back then I was a lot more prone to anger and like getting into fights just because someone made fun of me. Don't do that. That's not cool. That's not a proper way to resolve conflict. For me, and like my advice, letting words wash over you, and I could have ignored his words and let it flow over me. I ended up turning his words into weapons. But I was a kid. You were kids back then. It's a kind of in our DNA to bug other people. But in the end, I still won. I still got a group T-shirt. Not anymore. It's too small now. But like I got the group T-shirt, and that guy didn't end up passing, and he had to go back home with a broken cast. So, I definitely consider that a pretty good win. So yeah, I guess that will do it for this episode of Zach's Art-Ful podcast. I hope these somewhat crazy stories, taught you something, or you had a good chuckle or wow moment with it. If you have any crazy summer stories of yours that you would like to share, put them down in the comments below. Make sure to give this episode a like, subscribe for more episodes coming soon, and I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. Live, laugh, and have the best life ever, because it is yours and no one can take that away from you.
You're holding me back, I can't